I think it did, and the reason for it, 3 years ago, we needed something to really move the city forward. Bob Embry, Oak Quackenbush, and others conceived this idea. They thought about it. They brought it forth. The business people and some others were a little doubtful as to whether we should do this. And then after that first parade, when we looked out over the people, then we knew it would have been a success. Now, it's gotten so big that it's just tremendous. As you look out, you look at the exhibits, you look at the neighborhood, you go up in the Charles Center, and you can see that it's really tremendous. But the important thing is that it should never lose its flavor as a neighborhood activity, as an activity of various neighborhoods. And that's the important thing, and that's what we're attempting to do. And we will continue to do that. So long as the neighborhoods support it, we'll be okay.
Well, it's a reaffirmation for me of the spirit of Baltimore. I've had no question in my mind that Baltimore is capable of great things. The people who think small, unfortunately, but the city as a whole, I think, is underrated. And to me, that not only is the fair great in its own right, but it is more important as an indication of things, other things the city is capable of. So as I walk around here today, my mind is sort of on what next, and there are a lot of things next as far as the city's future is concerned.
So you're looking ahead and not back.
That's right, and every reason for optimism exists here, and I think the people of Baltimore should really come down here and see themselves and see how much they have to be proud of.
The streets around the fairgrounds were open to traffic for a short time this morning, but the traffic ebbed more than it flowed. And then, right on the stroke of 9:45, up the barricades went. And anyone getting through had to be an ice cream truck or have a really good story. Finding a parking spot will be a challenge all day, but at least one local garage was saving some spaces for fairgoers.
This morning, we only letting the ones in that work in the building. Then afternoon, we're saving space for the fair people. Then we open up and let everybody in.
The city fair is a showcase for Baltimore's neighborhoods, but the neighborhood closest to the fair, Federal Hill, is doing its best to keep out all the tourists who take up the scarce parking spots. Only residents with special permits are allowed in this weekend.
How do you feel about having the city fair in your backyard?
Well, you know, we've had it for 11 years and we've watched it grow, and it has grown now beyond its capacity for the area. And we like the indication that probably there is some consideration that it will be moved to other places.
It won't take you long to realize that the best way to get to the fair is on foot. But if you have to drive, try the parking garages along Lombard Street that have free shuttle bus service to the fair. And when you get there, enjoy. I'm Fran Panchel on the scene in Baltimore.
There are crafts of 1,000 kinds here, with everything from stained glass to portraiture. For some people, going to the craft section of the fair, as well as to the beer and fried dough areas, is like reading the articles as well as looking at the pictures in Playboy or the cartoons in the New Yorker. It's good for you, but most people don't do it. As a result, they miss some nice work, like the leathersmithing on Conway Street, and like the pottery in the next stall down. Exhibitors are in this section hoping you'll tire of the bread and circuses in the main area and try some of their bread. It's crusty, but attractive. And then there are the neighborhoods, which is what the fair is supposed to be about. Fairmount is flowering, while Druid Heights and Lafayette Square are getting ready for the crowds expected tonight. Many neighborhoods sell small gifts and toys with Christmas in mind, and some sell black-eyed Susans, no doubt with Susan in mind. Then, of course, there are city booths with real life in mind. It means food, naturally, from pit beef, which makes the whole fairground smell wonderful, to the fried dough that has come to symbolize the fair. But it means a lot more. You remember the International Pavilion, where baklava and sangria become a businessman's lunch on Fair Fridays. And you remember Spanish roast beef, which is like American, but costs slightly more just for the fair. You may remember when Rash Field had grass for earlier fairs, and you may well think this looks like the ethnic festivals of the summer. But this is bigger and better, and it's for all of us. It's the Melting Pot Festival. There are a lot of rides and carnival attractions that aren't special, and there are even some free rides. And you'll appreciate that after you cost the whole fair out. The Duck and Bunny booth is free, and there is one totally new and different booth this year. It's a free foot examination, and after you walk the fairgrounds, you may need it.
First of all, the relocation committee is looking very closely at this year's fair to see if in fact the Inner Harbor is now too congested for both Harbor Place and the fair. And if it is, then another site will be chosen for the 1981 Fall Festival.
We're thinking about moving the fair because of lack of space, but I'm not sure about that. We're talking about it and looking for other areas. I feel so strongly that the water and the harbor has an effect on all of us. You know, to be able to look out over the water, I think is terribly important. Whether or not we have room next year, here is something that we have to resolve. I'm not sure.
But if it is moved, you're leaning toward perhaps moving somewhere along the harbor way?
I would personally want to do that, but you know, the fair is a movable feast. We can go anywhere and have fun. It doesn't really matter so much.
Sites mentioned are Patterson Park, Druid Hill Park, even Memorial Stadium. But most of the people connected with choosing a site are partial to a harbor location. The mayor is, and you know his voice carries a lot of weight. Of the possible harbor sites, the most popular at this time seems to be the piers off of Pratt Street that are now being used for parking. Right now, piers 4, 5, and 6 are simply being used for parking. They're away from all the excitement of the Baltimore City Fair. But this time next year, they may well be the center of all the attention. I'm Susan White Bowden, reporting from the scene.
Once you make it through the maze of traffic leading to the fair, you might not mind spending $4 just to park your car. That's what some of the private lots in the area are charging for a day. The city lots charge about 50 cents an hour. Getting into the fair will cost you $1.25 per person. Children under 12 and those under 60 get in free. After you spend all that money, you'll probably be hungry. If so, you've come to the right place. A good old American hot dog is yours for 75 cents. Or try the moussaka for $1.25. Or the knockwurst with sauerkraut and potato salad for $2.50. Ready for some fun? Pull out your pocketbook. Some rides cost $1.25. Trying your luck costs 25 cents to 50 cents a throw. Now you've eaten and played and you're looking for a souvenir to take home. How about showing your pride in the pride of Baltimore? An adult t-shirt is $5, $4 for the kids. If you're broke by now, don't worry. Some things at the fair are free. The entertainment, for instance. There's nothing like a little jazz from a Peabody Preparatory Jazz Ensemble to make you forget how much money you've spent.
The city fair in its adolescence is still large and lively and shouldn't be missed by anyone who hasn't seen it. It's still the best possible setting for gluttony and self-indulgence, and it gathers in one place more different and delectable kinds of food than you could find anywhere else. And it still gets a tremendous volunteer commitment from people who obviously think it's important. What I'm not sure it has anymore is that sense of uniqueness and community that made it special and appealing in its formative years. Where once it made the point that we could all gather together and have fun, now it seems to exist as much for the merchants and vendors and fair officers as for the paying customers. It looks disquietingly similar to the State Fair in Timonium and the other stops on the carnival circuit when you see the overpriced rides and games. There are 4 Ferris wheels and a lot of tacky games with tacky prizes that are not likely to be won. And the addition of video games and blaring radio station booths isn't really redeemed by the social importance of some of the other institutions that put booths here. It's fair now, I think, to say there are some parts of it we like and some we just as soon avoid. One aspect I found troubling was that the neighborhood section has been shunted to a dusty corner of the fair's new and rambling location. If neighborhoods really are the heart of the fair, the reason it's been sacrosanct, they're certainly no longer its center. And they have about as much chance to be seen as a horse on Preakness Day if you're at the party in the infield. But still, it is a good party. It gives a chance to see everyone you've ever known in the city, and nothing that may be imperfect about it can detract from a hot pit beef sandwich, a piece of pizza or fried dough, a lemonade or cold beer, or this year's newcomers' frozen rum concoctions and pita sandwiches, which are terrific. The cost of admission has been kept low, security is good, parking is impossible, but that's not really worth complaining about. And perhaps neither is anything else about the fair that falls in the category of a young and cherished entity growing up. It may not be the same as it was when it was young, but perhaps neither are we, and being different isn't so much a bad thing.
City Fair officials say tonight's turnout was one of the best Friday nights ever in the fair's history. Fairgoers and vendors have a different story. Nonetheless, a good-sized crowd toured the fair's various piers. The neighborhood section say officials had some of the best displays ever. Music ranged from swing to rock to country.
The weather this evening is a little chillier than expected, and at least one business here isn't happy with the results. How are beer sales?
They're kind of weak tonight. It's too cold out. So-so. Everyone says it's too cold, they need coffee. Well, they're buying it. Some of them are. We're heating it.
Fair officials are hoping the cooler weather, though, will help bring out the crowds the rest of the weekend.
It's been a long, hot summer, and people, been a lot of nights when you really haven't felt like going out and stirring around. Maybe this is the breakout that people are getting out of that shell that was created by that scorching hot August and September.
However, in a small, unofficial survey we conducted, there seemed to be no one general consensus of opinion.
It's okay, feels good. No, it's cold. It's cold. It's cold. Yeah. The only one that's warm is the baby.
She had a good time, though. Her first city fair. She slept through half of it and ate a little bit. She was okay.
What do you think?
Had shorts on all day. It feels great.
Though it was definitely not a night for a dip, or 2, or 3.
Whether the weather is a deterrent or not, fair officials say Friday nights are traditionally slow for crowds, and come Saturday, business should pick up. Sloan Brown, News Scene 2 at the City Fair.